Hi, and welcome to the Build It Yourself Workshop. I'm your host, Frank Perrone. This week's project at the workshop is the Harvest Basket. It's a great novice woodworking project, and it's also featured in my new book, Build It Yourself, Weekend Projects for the Garden. Stick around, I'll show you how I did it. Hi, before we start the project, let me show you a couple of things that you're going to have to build. Well, with the Harvest Basket, you're going to have to build these end pieces and these rounded shapes. You're going to make these outlines with the compass. You can cut them out with a coping saw by hand, or you can go as far as getting a jigsaw. To keep everything aligned, I highly recommend using a tri-square. I use a tri-square on practically all of my projects. These slats here on the sides, believe it or not, it's just some finished molding that I picked up at the home center. You can cut these by hand if you want. I like to use a miter box with a back saw. Makes it really, really easy. A couple of clamps. Those are like extra hands to help you out. You're going to need some screws. And if you're going to be using a power tool or tools that you're not really that familiar with, especially the jigsaw, maybe you want to practice before you start. A lot of my students, what I'll do is I'll set them up with a piece of wood and have them, bore into this piece and drive some screws in to get some practice. Always remember shop safety, your safety glasses, and also keep your area clean all the time and make sure you're sure-footed when you're using the tools. Hope you enjoy this project. Here I have one of the side pieces. I've established a center line and I've measured down from the top 1.25 inches, 2.5, 6.5, 9 5/8. The 9 5/8 mark is the bottom end, where we're going to attach the bottom piece. So I'm going to take my tri-square and scribe a line all the way across the piece. To make the curved shapes, I'm going to be using my compass set on the 2.5 inch mark. Scribing a circle all the way around. Then take the compass, I have to readjust it and go from the 6.5 inch mark all the way out to the outer edge. Let me adjust the compass and do that. Line it on my mark and make my circle. There we go. Pretty close to what we have. Okay, now we need to cut it out. We have a couple of choices. We could use the coping saw, or we could use the jigsaw. On this one, I'm going to use the jigsaw. I'm going to take this piece, attach it to my table, and make this cutout. Now I'm going to use 80 grit sandpaper to shape the sides. The next step is making the holes here for the dowel and the holes to attach the bottom. Let me show you how I do it. This is the bottom section of the Harvest Basket. I scribed the line down the middle, found the center of the board, and scribed the mark. I've also made another mark here and here. That's 3.5 inches in from both ends. I have my corded drill outfitted with a 1/2 inch drill bit. I'm going to drill on those marks. But before I do that, I make sure I have a good backer board underneath, which helps prevent me from going into my table. I'm going to use these clamps here to secure the piece and the backer board to the table and drill those holes. So now we're ready to attach the bottom to the sides. That's where this center line comes in. Always make sure that this center line is always aligned. What I'm going to do now is take this piece, clamp it down to the table, and come from the back side here, pre-drill some holes, and put some screws in. The tri-square looks good. Let's pre-drill. Going to take our cordless drill, some 1.25 inch screws, and attach the sides. Okay, let's move on to the slats. Let me show you two of the jigs that we're going to use on this project. First one is the backer stacker jig. That's this. That helps me align all of these holes on the ends of these slats. What I do is I cut all my slats out with the miter box and the back saw first. And I always cut one extra. That one, I make sure that I get the right dimension and centered on the slat. I take all my slats, put them inside, stack them in here. The fence helps me align it. I take my template, put it on top. I take my cordless drill with an 1/8 inch drill bit, bring it in, and drill through the template and all the pieces. That leaves me with the same hole in the same spot on all the pieces. Really speeds up the project and makes it look finished. The other jig that I'm going to use is the dowel hole centering jig. I want to make sure that when I put this dowel on, everything is aligned correctly down the center. And that will be determined by the center line that you put on the end pieces. To create this jig, what I did was I took a Forstner bit, drilled a hole, but I didn't blow it out the other side. I came up a little bit short. With a Forstner bit, it always leaves a little bit of a dimple on the bottom of the hole. That's the center of a hole. So I take an 1/8 inch drill bit, drill through it, come out the other side. Take an 1.25 inch dowel, push it inside. 1/8 inch drill bit with the cordless drill, drill into the dowel, pull it apart, and you come away with a hole in the center. This way, when you align this, everything is aligned perfectly. Now with all my slats, what I do is I countersink the hole. This way it gives it a nice flushed look and really helps not to put too much stress on these ends because you don't want to crack them when you're trying to screw them in. So I take my countersink drill bit with a backer board and countersink all of them. This way it gives it a really nice finished look when you attach them. So let me show you how I attach these slats. First thing I do is I take a slat, put it in place, and I use a piece of scrap wood. Align it. Take my drill with a 1/8 inch drill bit. Pre-drill. Take a screw. I like to use a screwdriver here. I don't want to crack these slats, they're really thin. Attach that one in there, snug. Then I take my scrap block again, line it up, pre-drill, put in a screw. Nice. This way, by using the block, when you put it on the table, it's nice and flush all the way across. Now, to get that space, I just use one of these slats as a spacer. A little tricky to hold it in there the first couple. Once you get used to it, it's not too bad. Line that on there. Pre-drill. Put in another screw. And just continue down the line. Well, here it is, the completed project, the harvest basket. Needs a little bit more sanding. I think I'm going to give this one a coat of spar varnish, help protect it from the elements. I hope you enjoyed building this project. It was a lot of fun showing you how to do it. Next time in Ability Self Workshop, we're going to be building this garden stool. This stool has a pop-up handle, a great place to put all your tools or carry stuff around your garden. It's a really great project, not too hard to build. Hope to see you soon. Thanks.